Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Welcome tonight to day number 172 with our update on the war in Ukraine. Lots of things going on, and tonight's program is going to be extremely interesting with a lot of good stuff you may not know tonight. Some of you may know. Some of you guys are already talking in the chat as always, and I want to say some hellos there. I can tell you this as we get going. Jania just arrived back home, and he is safe. Back home, that run was a major success, and with that, we have a major request. We'll get to that in a little while, directly from the front lines. So, Mark McLaren, did the Wagner get hit somewhere today? Yes, Wagner headquarters was hit down by Melitopol. Chuck Pinkham, welcome out there in San Jose. JDO, welcome to you, my friend. Maximum Mustang, Germany. Edward Dooley. I'm on eBay and put up for sale Belleville Vale combat boots. I received the bid and found out the bidder is in Ukraine. I hope Ukraine doesn't have to depend on eBay for such items. They do. They do not have enough stuff. It's down to boots. Yeah, no question. That's going to support the military. No question. No question. 100%. KM, Slava Ukraina, welcome to you. First time I've seen your name here live from Maryland. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sheriff Brownlee, Wisconsin, Rainwater Games. Yes. It's getting cold quick. Verashoot talks about that tonight. Ricochet, tonight is a lot of good news. I've only got a couple of key areas that we're not going to call good, but a lot of this report tonight over the last 23 hours is not just good news, but it's great news. Bad B Rad 88, I see you there, man. Indiana, God bless you. Bob Piccarelli, welcome to you. Are they requesting cigarettes yet? I've not received any requests, nor have any of our guys there for cigarettes. You're going to hear about the number one request in just a little while, and I'm going to ask this community for help. Jeffrey Burnett, Island of California supports your victory, Ukraine. That would be true. And sir, thank you as always for your moderation. Big time. Blake Parker, welcome to you, Wisconsin. Getting lots of residents of Wisconsin in the stream. I don't know how you say that. Wisconsinians. It's Pennsylvanians. I'm from Virginia. It's a Virginian. Hey, Greg, ready for a great show. Ross and Lena, welcome to you down there, way down under Tasmania, Australia. All right, here we go. We're going to get rolling tonight, and this is the deal. Kyiv put out a statement today that said, if the war stopped this second, how long would it take to rebuild our nation? Think about that. Now, that was already about 12 hours ago. If the war stopped this second, how long would it take to rebuild? On the left, you have 5 years just to clear shelling, mines, booby traps. 5 years. In fact, a little bit of bad news out of Ukraine. We did have a lady not killed, but injured severely. She was out in the woods collecting mushrooms out in a little village. She went by one of those treble hook traps that we've talked about where the grenades are strapped to the trees, and she took a lot of damage. Fortunately, somebody heard it. They ran over there, pulled her out. She was out just trying to live her normal life and grab a few mushrooms. Didn't happen. If the war stopped this second, this is not my numbers. This is out of Kyiv. How long would it take to rebuild? On the right, representing infrastructure, homes, systems, the nation. 10 years. If it stopped 12 hours ago. 10 years. It's devastated, folks. It's absolutely devastated over there. We're going to look at that in a moment. Now, the main context of the program tonight, Wisconsinites. Okay, I've got it. Hello from Minnesota. Sailor Jimothy, welcome to you. Dan Freeman, Hi, Greg from Canada. Thanks again for all your hard work. I hope the good news today is ground gained. Oh, yes, we've got some good stuff going, and we have to look at the big picture. Here's the big picture. A majority of the things that I'm going to share with you over the next half hour or so is pressure that is mounting on Vladimirovich Putin there in the Kremlin. This is day 172, and tonight we're going to talk about incremental pressure being placed upon Putin. Now, I do not know how he's going to respond. I do know he's not going to quit. I do know he's not going to retreat. He may regroup and rotate. The only way it happens is he's defeated. It's too far in now. He's not going home. He's going to play until the end. Unfortunately, it's going to be good days for Ukraine and bad days for Ukraine. Unfortunately, and I'm using unfortunately on purpose, going to be good days for Russia, bad days for Russia. I use unfortunately because I only want good days for Ukraine and bad days for Russia, and let's get this thing over with. But in context, so drop this thought in the back of your mind tonight as we are discussing. I'm watching the chat. Maximum Mustang. Are there any charities planning on rebuilding effort? Yeah, actually, full nations are. Nations are already lining up. For example, Italy is going to rebuild parts of Mariupol, including the drama theater. Many nations have adopted a city or adopted a region. And I'm sure once it's clear, charities will get involved on that effort as well. I can tell you we'll help rebuild something. But we're going to help them before then. We're going to help them win this war. Now, context. Everything that I'm going to share with you, especially at the beginning, is about pressure mounting for Putin. Now, this one may seem a little odd to you. Why would Iranian drones be pressure mounting for Putin? Well, Russia ordered 1,000 strike and reconnaissance drones from Iran. We've been talking about it, and it's a fact. It happened. They signed a contract with Iran. These drones are capable of not only doing attack, but also reconnaissance, and they can stay in the air over 24 hours. It is spotting and attack capabilities. So why is this pressure increased for Putin? Because do you realize that the one that doesn't want to be called a terrorist state is partnering with a terroristic state, Iran? Secondly, he's partnering with the Taliban. In fact, man, there was a great comment. I've got to go here right now. Last night before the stream, I was talking with my mentor, Larry, and Larry is actually heading out ahead of me to Finland. He's leaving in 4 days. He leaves on the 18th. I leave on the 24th. I'm going to meet them in Helsinki to help them out a couple of days. And then I'm heading to Poland and into Ukraine. But Larry, we were sitting on his back porch Saturday last night, and the deer running through the backyard. I'm sipping on some pomegranate juice. And Larry says, "Hey, brother." He talks in a very deep voice. I say, "Yeah." He goes, I don't want to get political or nothing. I said, "Okay. What do you want to say?" I think we figured out something. And Larry's he's a unique person. He's a great guy. 77 years old, I think. He said, if you look at this war, Putin's not going to quit. And I remind you that Larry has been working in the former Soviet Union since 1989. That would be before the wall fell. He said, now that we've looked at it and analyzed, I was reading this one guy, following after this one guy, and I discovered a train of thought they had. And the train of thought was, in a nutshell, this: the day that the United States left Afghanistan in the dark with the planes going out, and my own cousin was a soldier there when the planes were leaving, American Marine. He was there on the ground. I've heard the stories firsthand. It was a tragedy. It was ridiculous. People were being killed. Don't care about what you see on the news. This is what happened. And the Americans, were doing their lift out. From that moment, the Taliban, of course, would destroy Afghanistan in weeks. And they did. Of course, our government said, no, we left them. They have a 300,000 member army. They have great munitions and equipment that we left them. They'll defend the land greatly. We trained those Afghanis. Right. 21 days later, Afghanistan was under the rule of the Taliban, and they had all of our equipment. My guy, Larry, said, you know what? From that day, that was the tipping point in the world. That was the tipping point in the world when Putin said, I'm going. That's it. We now see that America is weak and we are going. And whether he was talking to Xi about Taiwan, Iran, and all the madness they're doing, the mess in Syria, it doesn't matter. That was the moment in time. And I can't disagree with that. From there, cards started to fall, and here we find ourselves in this war. So I want to give a shout out and thanks to Larry for sharing that concept. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. This is why I say Iranian drones are pressure mounting for Putin. Why? Because the number 2 army in the world, quote, can't even stop an underfunded, under-weaponized, little teeny nation compared to them, and has to ask help from nations that decades ago they would have considered an enemy. The pressure is mounting on Vladimir Putin. Next, Berdyansk. Berdyansk is a city down in the south, on the coast. I have it there for you. Ukraine hits a key port today, this morning. They rocked that place. Of course, HIMARS. They destroyed 2 port berths, had big fires going. It was just a beautiful thing. And of course, that port is where goods come in through that Sea of Azov and are supplied to the Russian forces, not only by land, but also by sea. So that port was hit this morning. What does that mean? Pressure increasing on Putin. Well, why would that increase the pressure? Because Ukraine was not able to hit these places just a month ago, 6 weeks ago. They're hitting these targets with absolute precision. Tonight, I'm actually going to show you a video about that. Going to blow you away. Baltic Sea is in play now. Estonia and Finland turn up the heat. What happened to my font there? I think I forgot to hit the bold button. I'll read it to you, tell it to you. There's the Baltic Sea. Maybe many of you do not know this area of the world well. This is actually where I'll be in a few days, up there in Finland, the Gulf of Finland, where the star is. That's Helsinki. And when you go up into the far right, the Gulf of Finland, of course, you go into St. Petersburg in Russia. Well, the Baltic Sea, Finland and Estonia came into a naval blockade defense agreement that together they would defend the Gulf of Finland. Secondly, they're building a stronger coastal defense, and they are going to block any Russian military ships. You see, even though NATO is not doing something kind of in a mass, these little nations, and Finland's not small, Estonia's tiny, they're making bold statements as members of NATO, even if other large nations, Germany and France and Italy, and the list goes on, are dragging their feet, or other nations like Hungary are basically in Putin's back pocket, and nations like Turkey are absolutely sitting on the fence. These nations, Finland, soon to be officially recognized NATO full member, and Estonia says, we've got it. We're going to block this Gulf of Finland. There's no military ships coming out of here. What happens? That's not a saber rattle. Don't mess with the Estonians or the Finns, especially the Finns. They said it, they'll do it. what happens, and Vladimir Putin knows it. What happens tonight in the Kremlin? He's popping some Mylanta, I promise you, because nations are rallying. Melitopol, down back to the south of Ukraine. Once again, another headache for Vladimir Putin. What is it? You see the big explosion there. What is that explosion? That was the railroad infrastructure and tracks that come into Melitopol, where I told you last night or 2 nights ago, there's now a large military base for the Russian forces at the hospital in downtown Melitopol. Well, the supply line on the railways, that railway has been taken out. Now, I want to show you this, why it's so important. So, you make sure I got the right screen up. We'll go with red for this. Here we have occupied Crimea. And let me zoom in a little bit. Here's Melitopol right here. And you see this highway. So let me explain to you how the roads work in Ukraine. Adjacent to that highway, and I'll put it in a different color. Not yellow, that's Ukraine's colors. Let's go with brown. Is the railroad. This is how every major highway you see will have railroad tracks beside it. Well, that railroad is what was hit. That is fantastic because it's blocking the supply line, trying to feed that base where they can then wrap around or then go to the east. Major thorn in the side was that. That's on top of some other things that we're going to talk about. Once again, Putin's not quitting. Putin's not backing up. Putin's going to do whatever he wants. He's a terrorist dictator. But I'm telling you, 9:19 Eastern, 4:14 in Ukraine, 5:14 Moscow time. I think they already jumped the hour. It changes. Let's see. They may be 4:14 too. Nope, 4:19. 4:19 in Moscow as well. They haven't jumped yet. I can tell you what's happening here. He's went from Mylanta now, and he has pulled out the Tums. He may be watching the broadcast. Kherson, forget the Mylanta, forget the Tums. It's time for Pepto-Bismol. Ukraine is wrecking it down there in a very good way. They have eliminated, I'm using the word eliminated, access via the 2 major highways. Those would be represented by the the red X's to the left and the top. And then the 2 remaining X's, of course, are the Antonovsky Bridge and the Kakhovka Power Plant Bridge. They have been eliminated. You say, well, I just thought they're damaged. They can't travel on them now. It's done. They will have to do a major reconstruction to utilize those bridges. They're out of service. Tonight, the bridge was finished. It's not laying in the river, but it is impassable. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. You see the black X. Now, I do have to tell you that they're in Mykolaiv, and the black X to the right is kind of representing Melitopol, which is up just a little bit more. Unfortunately, those 2 places are still being bombarded. So even though Russia is withdrawing, retreating, yes, some of their military leadership has rotated around to the east because they're going to push on Donetsk, and that's where some of our bad areas are right now. But they're still able to hit with air. And they are. The port in Mykolaiv took 2 hits today. Mykolaiv is being hit in the center. Those ports are very important in Mykolaiv, but they were hit today. Melitopol continues to be bombarded. So Ukraine, great work. Supply lines interrupted. Russia rotates some, not all. If anybody tells you that they've abandoned Kherson, no. They've rotated some leaders, they've rotated some troops, but they've not left anywhere. Ukraine wants to intensify the assault because they want to liberate Kherson. And due to lack of access, Russia increases air attacks on Mykolaiv and Ukrainian positions. So there is the update there. But while you're here, I'm going to let you zoom in and see what happened just a few hours ago over there in Kherson, and right above it, the Antonovsky Bridge. It's about 1 minute and 40 seconds. I will translate it for you on the fly. There's not much to translate. Basically what you see, you will see and hear, there was this family. It's absolutely proven. It's the Antonovsky Bridge. They're watching out across the river, and they're either listening to the radio or listening to some television, and then all of a sudden, the sky lights up with air assaults on both sides, and you'll see it. So here we have it, a look inside Kherson tonight. He said that's the second one. The music's playing in the background. There's looking across the river to the bridge. Oh, look at the bridge. Look at the bridge. Got it. Got it. The bridge was hit. He said, that's it. It's done.
Осколки хуярят. Зайка, не бойся. Да все, уже поздно, блядь.
And a few choice words there that are colorful, but I won't translate those. Folks, that was just hours ago. And I see lots of your chats there. Yeah, I'm telling you, today's been a great day for Ukraine. We've got a couple of tough spots in the east. We'll touch them at the very end of the report tonight. But right now, this part, we're celebrating. They've done some really good work. The longer range weapons are making a huge difference. And that is why the title of the program tonight was "The Pressure of This War Intensifies for Putin and the Kremlin." They absolutely did not expect this. I'm telling you, they did not expect this from day one. And folks that are new, there are lots of folks in here watching tonight. If you're watching and you're new, make sure you hit the like button, comment, talk in the chat, share. It helps. We're getting more and more out there. Pretty soon we'll be broadcasting from Ukraine safely, Ricochet safely, and after the fact. But we want people to know the truth. So thank you for being here and being a part of it. And for those of you that are new, I started working in Moscow in 1994. I speak Russian, and Ukraine's my second home. So I have lots of friends and what I consider family in both nations. So I'm very, this is what the world's about right now, whether the world wants to accept it or not. Now, let's pause it for a second. Vereshchuk, that's Irina Vereshchuk. She's responsible for humanitarian corridors, movement of refugees. That's her portfolio in Zelensky's government. She told the citizens of Kherson in an address today, quote, "You must do all possible to leave." And then she explained why. She said, "Winter is coming. There will be no infrastructure. There will be no heat, and survival will be difficult." So that's on the normalized side. And as I've told you guys in the past, when winter hits, it hits. And It can start getting cold in September, late September. We're talking cold. I've been there many times in October, and it's snowing. It gets cold quick. Ukraine, she also said, wants to intensify our assault to take Kherson, to liberate it, really. And she said, you are in our way. We will not fire on our citizens. We will not fire on other citizens. We will fire on the military and their targets, but you guys are in our way. If at all possible, please leave Kherson. Now, it's going to be difficult. We've talked about why people stay, but Ukraine's coming. Read between the lines. They're coming for Kherson. Now, it may be a counterplay that happens up north around Belarus. We know Belarus. We know that Kharkiv is under assault constantly. We know that there are troops up there ready to come in. And we know the east has cranked back up and hot. But in the south, we're rejoicing. Kherson they're knocking on the door there. So that's very, very good. Zaporozhye nuclear power plant joint statement. Once again, title of the program. Pressure is increasing on Putin and the Kremlin. Zaporozhye nuclear power plant joint statement, 42 nations calling for Russia to leave the power plant and to restore the security of it back to Ukraine. The nations that made the joint statement were by all EU members, and that would include nations that maybe sit on the fence a little bit, like Hungary. It also includes the European Union, EU, as a separate signer, and then Norway, Britain, the United States, Canada, Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, Georgia, Moldova, North Macedonia, and Turkey. Turkey sitting on the fence. Today, they're saying leave the nuclear power plant, Russia. Why are they saying that? Because they're just across the Black Sea from it, and they're very close to it in reality. And if something goes awry, they don't want to have to deal with that. So, of course, Russia, get away from the nuclear power plant. You're playing with fire, and if you keep doing that, you're going to be burned. So now, just think about it with me, folks. I asked you to keep in the back of your mind tonight, pressure increasing on Putin and the Kremlin. I've shown you all these cities where they took some black eyes over the last 24 hours. Next, I shared with you the basic blockade in the Sea of Finland by Finland and little Estonia. Now, 42 nations are telling Russia to leave the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant before you cause a disaster. That's pressure. Now, what's going to happen? Nothing. I mean, I hope tomorrow everybody leaves and Russia goes home and Ukraine gets all of its territory back to 1991 with sovereign borders, and we arm them to the hilt. Give them back their nuclear weapons and send Russia back home. That's what I hope. But that's probably not going to happen. But the pressure's there, and it definitely is increasing. Zaporozhye has an additional update. Now we're going to kind of adjust a little bit. Going to change a little bit. So now you understand, first, I'm on slide number 10. First 10 slides, pressure on Russia. Now, going to look at a couple other things before we close out tonight. Zaporozhye nuclear power plant update. What happened in the last 24 hours? It was reported officially that the nuclear power plant is operating with the risk of violating radiation and fire safety standards. Why? I'm going to share that with you now. In the last 24 hours, Russia was shelling the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and unfortunately, one of the shells, or multiple of the shells, took out one of the emergency stations. At the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, there are 6 reactors, and they have 3 fire control buildings with the fire trucks and all the safety equipment. They now have 2. That power plant was designed that one emergency center would cover reactors 1 and 2, the second one 3 and 4, the third one 5 and 6. The emergency station for reactors 1 and 2 has been damaged. It is unusable right now, so we're limited in safety. If something major was to happen, they're running at 66%. Secondly, we already know that reactor number 4 is offline. It's not working. It has cut juice to the south. Additionally, 50% of the staff, and I remind you tonight, and maybe you do not know this, Ukrainians are still working the plant, but they're working it under the occupation of the Russian forces. 50% of those employees no longer work there. They've fled, they've escaped, they've run away because they're afraid. They're living under sheer terror. Many of those employees have been wounded. Families have been threatened. It's a crazy place on the site of the largest nuclear power plant in all of Europe. One of the guys from Ukraine, one of their nuclear leaders who is not there, but is trying to communicate the best he can with the employees that are there, he was told today that we are this close to a Fukushima event. And that was the quote. And of course, that would be the Japanese problem that we had a decade or so ago. I'm not sure on the date of that, but he says we're there. We're at a Fukushima level event. It could happen any moment. Finally, the nitrogen oxygen station, the combined auxiliary building, the pumping station for domestic wastewater were also seriously damaged today. This place, they're playing with fire and somebody's going to get burnt. Poland gets bold. Let's crank the pressure up on Vladimir Putin again. But this is good pressure for Ukraine. I'm going to explain to you why. Poland gets bold. And in their boldness, they said no visas to Russian citizens, period. Now, that affects any Russian. Okay, let me show you on the map. Let me show you on the map here. Because this one's important. Need to understand this one. This is mega. And this is going to work to Ukraine's advantage. So here's the border with Poland. Okay. Now, this area here is, let me change the color to red. This is Kaliningrad. Okay. Which is Russia. Then, of course, this is the Russian border. All down. And of course, this is Ukraine. This is Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania. Poland today said no more visas. What does that mean? That was the big boy. You see, we're very thankful, let me zone out here, that Estonia was first. They blocked their border. Latvia followed suit. Nobody transiting and trying to get into the European Union, to the Schengen visa. But Poland is the nation that it needed to happen. Why? Well, the map shows you. Because you can leave Moscow on your tour, on your holiday, and I need to show you the map. My goodness. There we go. Thank you. You heard the story. Here's the whole border. Now you're really prepared because I told you the story first. That's the Russian border there in the green. This is the nation of Belarus in green. Here's Ukraine. Here's Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Estonia was the first one to close their border. Latvia was next, not allowing Russians to get to the European Union with the Schengen visa. But they're not the one that was necessary. If you look at the map, you'll understand who was necessary. And I apologize for not switching, but Poland was the nation we needed to close the border. And if you look at the map, you'll understand why right there. Because if Poland didn't close its border on a Schengen visa, Russian citizens wanting to go to Europe for vacation could simply come through Belarus, through Poland, and straight on into Europe on the Schengen visa. But Poland blocks all of Belarus. And of course, nobody's coming through Ukraine. Nobody's coming through Lithuania to Kaliningrad. They can't get there. This was the big boy. Pressure increases on Putin, but this pressure is good for Ukraine. Why? Why is this pressure good for Ukraine? Because now that the tourists, the oligarchs, and the socialites in Moscow, that they cannot get to Spain and lay on the beach and cheer on their army, they're going to potentially begin to put pressure on the Russian leaders. Maybe. It's a good thing. Poland, that was very bold, but things like that increase pressure on Vladimir Putin, because now he's going to start hearing it from citizens of Russia who now have no access, none, to get into the European Union for a holiday or a vacation on their Schengen visa. Now, last night I showed you Sergei, and we talked about what it was like to really be there, trying to rescue people or give aid. And I want you to know he's out of there completely. He's completely safe. Everything is good. And he sent me a message to share with you guys tonight. Now, you, of course, will hear a huge difference. And if you're here tonight and you're new, we've got lots of folks here. Please go back and watch the last 10 minutes of last night's program, 170, and you will see my friend here come under fire as they were trying to rescue people and deliver aid. Fortunately, everybody was safe relatively. We had one evacuee that took shrapnel in the head and in the shoulder. They bandaged her up and got her out of there quickly. Supposed to get 13 out. We got 5. They dropped their goods, but it was a very tough time. But Sergei sent a message today to say thank you. Jambo Max, I think you're in Scotland there. Having a physical impact on Russian citizens that they'll feel so much more than the sanction. Agreed 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. I'm not saying economic sanctions, generally do not have an effect, but one must remember Russia has trade partners that are beyond those sanctioning nations, and it will have an effect, and it is having an effect, but it'll never change this war. But you start taking away people's vacation trip to France, we'll see what happens. That's why the title of the program tonight was Pressure Increasing on Putin. Here's Sergei. Now, his English is not the level of Zhenya or Rostislav, but he wanted to say thank you because we funded that trip as a group and community here. A lot of thanks there to Larry and Debbie with their work and donations, and of course Kent and Luann, all of our administration on our side, but we made this happen, and he wanted to say thank you.
My dear American friends, thank you for your support and friendship. We make very difficult trips, but we are successful because God is with us. Thank you for your prayers and financial support. God bless you. God bless from Ukraine, from Pokrovsk.
There you have it. That's the thank you. Get to hear the voice. Makes a big difference. So he's doing well. Everybody's safe. And they actually have one more run they're doing. So we'll keep you updated on that. Now, I was able to talk with Zhenya a little bit. He just got back in. And he's safe. He's now resting. Should have him tomorrow night. That's what we're planning. Get a full update. But Zhenya, PZ sent a direct request from the front lines. This is where I'm asking for help from the community. We need tourniquets. That's why I could answer quickly. Were people really buying boots off of eBay to send to Ukrainian soldiers? Absolutely. No question. We need bandages, a certain type of bandage that's requested from the front line. And I know if you're new here, you're going, what do you mean they need bandages? They don't have any. Well, what about all those billions of dollars we're sending there? Yeah. That is so tied up in confusion. It's not like the Wells Fargo rodeo horse rides over and drops 90 billion on the doorstep. It doesn't work that way. This is money that's goofy how it unfolds. Here's reality. They need weapons and lots of them because they proved that they can win this war. I already knew they could win the war from day one because I know Ukraine. Secondly, they struggle in the area of medical. Why? Because all the money they do get is going for weapons. So they struggle here. The third reason, many of the tourniquets that are sent to them are cheap, and this is what I've been told directly from the front lines and Zhenya on the front lines. They asked directly, please stop sending us the cheap Chinese tourniquets. They do not work. We need tourniquets, please. Zhenya called me when he got back in tonight. He says, Greg, we got to start putting the message out. You leave in 10 days to get over here. We need tourniquets. I know this community is very smart. One of our community members is Medic Trevor, and I know others in here. You have medical backgrounds with the military. I'm asking you tonight as a community, please send me a message. Make a comment on the chat later so it will notify me on my email if you have a recommendation, because I will load up as many as I can and personally take them to Ukraine. It's going to happen, and they'll get there. So we need real tourniquets. Unfortunately, I'm not a medic. I have no idea what I'm looking for. Pastor Kent, who administrates a lot of our purchasing, has no idea what we're looking for, but we need to get some tourniquets. Secondly, they need some type of, he said, and he's going to send me the image, or we'll talk about it tomorrow, chest compressions for chest wounds. It's some type of special bandage. I don't know what that is either, but I want to just drop that into the community tonight, and let's start finding some tourniquets. Put us on to the right stuff to get, and as a community, we'll raise money and we'll get them. So thank you for that. Please, if you're there tonight and you say, "Oh, I'm kind of new to this channel. I'm not sure these people are legit." Hey, we're legit. Just look, 172 days in a row, we've raised 150,000 US dollars, and every penny plus gets to Ukraine. Plus, and proof's in the pudding. So we need tourniquets, but we want to get the right ones. So I'm asking all the medical guys out there, please help me with some information. Now, you see there the White Angel. I have this video ready tonight. Chest seal. That's what it is, JDO. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. That's the second thing. That's what they need. They need a chest seal. Ask the U.S. Army what they use and for whom they purchase. Oh, we got medics in here. They'll get the message to me. They'll Ricochet. That's a good idea. An Amazon store. Ooh. Let me take a picture of that one. This is live, folks. Live. All right, I'm taking a picture of that. I'm going to give that to our communications coordinator tomorrow. We're going to check on that. That's a great idea. Thank you. Now, with that said, you see the White Angel wings there. This represents a group that is rescuing people on the front line. Just like the video I showed you last night, you're going to see some video tonight. And it's really odd. This is really odd. This is why I believe that we need to do some help to get some tourniquets, period. We have to get some tourniquets. And I'm going to tell you why. And this is weird, folks. Weird. Now, for us, we believe it would be God leading us. For you, you may have a different viewpoint. That's okay. But for us, it's God leading us. Zhenya called me and said, man, I'm home. I'm safe. I'm exhausted. But please start sharing it tonight. We need real tourniquets. I said, okay, it'll be on the stream tonight. And then he said, we need these special things for their chest wounds. I don't know what they are. I said, he goes, I'll find out. I said, okay, we'll take care of it. And when I hung up with him, I came back upstairs to the studio here, and I had been sent a video from some of my friends, and it was about the White Angel. And you're going to see the White Angel right now. And here's what's real. You're going to see some rescues over the next couple of minutes. It's all translated into English, no problem. You're going to see the real life. Then one of the guys gets wounded. Nothing too graphic here, I promise you. I would warn you if it was. There have been a couple times in this war when I've shown some graphic and I warn. This is not it. But they immediately need tourniquets. And here I have Zhenya calling me. I've done this 172 days in a row. I've never gotten a tourniquet video. And Zhenya calls me and says, man, we need tourniquets. And then I go back upstairs and boom, this message is waiting on me with this video. You're going to understand now why we're asking for help getting some tourniquets. Here you go. White Angel.
Кто раненый?
Сынок, иду. Сынок.
Погнали, погнали.
А кто раненый?
Дед, там и рука, там.
А где он?
Того.
А, вот это.
Хай, сыночек. Хлопцы, господи.
Ничего, сейчас уедем.
Если боишься.
Сейчас, тихонько, тихонько. Заходите. Давай, батя. Давайте.
Сыночки. Сыночки.
Закрываем.
Сыночки. Ой, сыночки.
Так, нормально, батя? Куда ты раненый? Сейчас мы доедем, я посмотрю.
Чуть-чуть выйдем за город.
Хозяева! Давай выходи на эвакуацию, дед!
Здравствуйте.
Раненый хлопец.
Сосед раненый.
Давай, давай, выходи. Хозяин! Пойдем!
Нога пробита.
Погнали! Давай, родной. Спаси, сохрани. Спаси, сохрани нас, Боже. Давай. Давай, давай. Да.
Погнали.
Давай. Давай, я его вяжу. А ну, ногу выше.
Tourniquet.
Все, готовы?
Поехали, поехали.
Поехали, газуй!
Ты как?
Газуй! 300. Все, 300 нога! Все. Газуй! Все, на водичку. Уходим. 300.
Driver was shot.
Держи. Держусь. Саныч, нормально. Поворот.
What are they putting
Прямо
on?
не пойдем?
Нет, все, уходим.
Держитесь.
Tourniquet.
Вася, хороший, я же буду этой ногой же и газую. Сильно не затягивай. На ДК не едем сразу на больничку.
Давай.
Вася, отзвонится шефу.
Была бы не броня, было бы мне...
Да,
Смотри.
да, повезло, брат.
And that's what he said right there at the end. If it wasn't for the bulletproof glass, I'd be dead. And he's just laughing. Look at it. There you have it. That's the video that was waiting on me after Zhenya called me. Said, we need tourniquets, man. And then I come up, and this front message here is the White Angel, and that's their organization. And they're running rescue missions. And I see all these tourniquets being used, and this guy gets wounded. And I said, okay, we've got to get some tourniquets. We're going to get some tourniquets. So there you have it. You're right. It was bullet-resistant panels, and quite a deal there. I see all of your messages about the Amazon store. So I'm gonna pass that on. I've got the picture taken, and we'll keep you posted on that. Now, last couple of things for tonight. I told you we do have a couple of trouble areas. First one is Avdiivka. This is over, and you can see the city of Donetsk there. Avdiivka is in the Donetsk region, and it is a city of 35,000. And I wanted to draw your attention to this city tonight for a purpose. Population of this city is 35,000 people. Right now, there are 2,500 left. And here's what Avdiivka is known for. They are a very famous town because they have the Coca-Cola plant for Ukraine. Very, very large Coca-Cola plant there in Ukraine. And this city has been completely destroyed. Now, you look at it and say, okay, I don't see the red over it yet. Well, that's because the forces haven't moved over the city yet. What they do is level it and then move beyond it. Unfortunately, you will see red cover Avdiivka soon. You will see red cover the other cities here. Marinka, Pisky. I showed you that 3 or 4 days ago. Pisky is gone. Krasnolets is going to be gone. These cities are destroyed. So the red's going to move over. Once again, remember, Kherson, they're getting knocked back, but wrapping around to Donetsk, they're pushing hard. And that would be the Russian forces. So with that said, I want to show you Avdiivka. I got this video in just a little while ago. And when we say it's gone, this is a city of 35,000 people. Gone. Yeah, the buildings are standing, but they're destroyed. There's nobody there, and it is a ghost town. This is Avdiivka.
Да, это вот горело. Это знаменитая разукрашка. Здесь 13 человек людей живут еще.
She was talking about 250 people supposed to be living in this building, and there's none. So there you have it. That's a look at the city of Avdiivka. It's a ghost town. There's no people. The buildings are destroyed, and they'll continue to level them, just like I was showing you with Pisky. Now, the final city I want to draw your attention to, and we've been watching this one every day, it's Bakhmut. General Staff sent out a notice today in Kyiv, and they said, prepare for the fall of Bakhmut. It's imminent. Russia's really knocking on the door of Bakhmut, and now it's looking like they're going to reinforce into that region, and it'll probably be the thing that tips over Bakhmut. Hopefully not, but Bakhmut is getting close to having some serious issues. With that said, you see what's happening in the south. It's great. The bottom line is today, Vladimir Putin's under a lot of pressure. He's under a lot of pressure for what's going to happen over the next few days. And of course, we'll be watching it closely. With that said, I saw in the chat earlier, somebody asked, it's all flying over here on this screen for me. What happened to the Israeli med kits that we were able to get and send? They're gone. They're all distributed. All distributed. In fact, I will tell you guys this tonight. Continue to pray for Ukraine. Thank you for being here each night. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for all the chat. Thank you for the messages. Thank you for the information on tourniquets or all the other things we're looking for. We're going to make that happen. I'll carry them over myself personally, and we'll ship what we have to ship. But with that said, why do they need so much? Because Kyiv also today released an update on the number of soldiers they're losing daily. Of course, this is front lines, but Ukraine is losing 200 soldiers a day. Many people wonder, you don't see numbers, you don't hear numbers, or you hear these 80,000 for Russia, but what's Ukraine losing? What are they gaining? Today, Kyiv released the numbers. I don't even build a slide for that because I don't build a slide for that because I don't want to. But they're losing 200. I try to stay away from the numbers until I hear them officially from Kyiv, to be quite honest. I don't even look at the numbers that come out on the news reports, and that stuff where you see where 80,000 Russian dead soldiers, that'll start spreading through the media like wildfire. It could be true, but there's no validation of it. They've lost a lot of soldiers, a lot, but Ukraine loses 200 a day as well. So we honor those guys. We pay tribute to them. Thank you for all of this. I'm going to have all this chat here to be looking through. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And we'll see you in 23 hours with the next update. Be blessed. God is good. Ukraine's going to win. And we'll see you in 23 hours. Good night.